And welcome to another edition of South Texas Crossfire. This is Attorney Joe Flores reminding you to join us each and every week right here on KTMV with the Lopez family. Special thanks to Don Humberto Lozano Lopez. He passed away in 2011, but he's honored, he's venerated, and he's never forgotten on this show. And my good friend, you guessed it, Carlos Lopez, the Ted Turner of South Texas Broadcasting. Special thanks to our sponsors. Before we get underway, River City Hospice, 882-5900. Hospice, it's not what you think it is. Call them up for more information on hospice. And also Vasquez Flores Home Health, 881-9922. Need a job, want to help somebody at home, a rewarding career, call up Priscilla Vasquez RN. She can help, 881-9922. With me today, I have the distinct honor of presenting a good friend, a colleague, a journalist, a reputable person in the community who creates conscious awareness, and that is Homero Villarreal. Welcome, Homero. Thank you for joining us.
It's truly an honor to be here, John.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you coming on because these are very exciting times. The reason I brought you on is because of your knowledge and experience, and by virtue of many, many things that you have researched as a historian on the Catholic Church, and with a new Pope, I wanted to talk about the ramifications of that.
Yes, wonderful, wonderful. Well, we have a new Pope, Jorge Mario Bergoglio. The New York Times referred to him as Jorge Maria, and I just wanted to make that correction. Jorge Mario Bergoglio, and the first Pope from Latin America, the first Pope that doesn't use a number. He's trying to honor St. Francis, so that's a good start, good doctrine, spin doctrine, because St. Francis of Assisi, I think, came from a wealthy family, merchant, and trying to honor St. Francis of Assisi, who associated himself with the poor and beggars, and I think sends a loud message about his stance and overall view of Latin America and that developing area. That's also a model for other parts of the world, like Asia, the Philippines now, where 80% of the Philippine community is Catholic. Also in Africa, we're starting to see African communities and enclaves and movements growing. But and the first Pope away from the European and also the Germanic Polish administrations of the last few years that ended up sadly the final phase, Pope Benedict stepping down.
And why was that he was stepping down?
Two major issues. One's that they cited, where one was the Vatican Bank, which was totally out of control, and too provincial, where all types of lack of controls and money's being basically investors complaining and being ostracized overall by the Orthodox banking community. And the second major factor, of course, the pedophile issues that have been going on for 45 years in courtrooms, especially in Europe, where millions and millions of dollars have been used to settle cases. And and in the final chapter, where they were zeroing in on the current Pope, which was a tad shy and coy, and they were gonna implicate him in something that was just going, I think, he did cite that he was stepping down maybe because of health issues. But
well, health issues had to be a factor, but yeah. But I don't think a lot of people out there hear the other side of the equation, that there were financial issues and perhaps litigation issues.
Look at the historical variables. Have we had a Pope step down?
Never. You know? I mean, well, once in a few hundred years.
I think it was in over 900
900 years.
So.
Several hundred years.
So what does that tell you? Something, various variables were involved, and also it's modern times. You know, maybe it's time that a Pope can just, like as we say in Spanish, colgar los tenis. You know,
cash in the IRA, perhaps. Right.
He's a little metaphor from my neighborhood that maybe it's time to maybe somebody has fresh ideas, fresh blood, inspire and innovate the overall missionary movement of what's going on. But important about this Pope is the impact. If you look at the history of Latinos in the Americas, the history of Latinos Americas, you can hardly separate Latino culture from the Catholic culture because
for the most part
of the colonial history that was superimposed first by the Spanish and of course the Portuguese in Brazil, and later on by but it's so significant to have a pope because now you have a voice, a role model, saying, you know, here we have 40% of all Catholics in the world reside in the Americas, and we're talking about Latin America and Mexico alone, and the Caribbean constitute almost 40% of all Catholics in the world. So that's extremely significant. Yet they haven't had the representation. Only I think Latin America, Mexico only has 30 cardinals or so.
Okay, and you know, what kind of numbers are we talking about? You said percentages in Latin America and the Caribbean and the Americas. Okay, what sort of numbers worldwide, and in comparison, the numbers on the Western Hemisphere alone?
Well, just to sum it up real quick, I could talk about it all day, but basically, we break it down into three major areas here where the Catholic enclaves are concentrated. First of all, 130 million we have in Brazil.
130 million Catholics.
Yeah, 130 million Catholics, followed by Mexico, which has close to 90%. 88%.
And that's a country of over 100 million.
Yes, and then followed by the U.S., by the way, because of the immigrant population. So the older Catholics, which are mostly Anglo-American, are the younger Catholics, for some reason, they're losing them in America because of they favor gay marriage, they favor abortion, they favor or you also
and you're referring to Anglo-Catholics.
Anglo-Catholics. So the younger 50% of all young Latinos, and I'm talking about young Latinos 23 and under.
And we are failing because, and I want to make this clear that, you know, people, and that's fine. People have freedom of speech, but yes. But you know, I'm a firm believer in, okay, all of the media is saying you can same-sex marriage, gays come out, that's fine, but children can't pray in school.
Yeah.
What's wrong with that picture, people?
Yeah. Well, basically, what some of the figures you talked about, and zooming in on that here in the U.S., 50% of all young Catholics are Latinos now. So what does that tell you? They're losing the
Latinos are gaining power in the Catholic Church.
Yeah, Latinos are gaining power
worldwide.
They're losing some other ethnic groups at the same time, and there's groups competing. This is America, and it's a land of competition.
Well, and Hispanics, you have Solid Rock Church here locally. You have Joel Osteen. Yeah. You have his right hand, who's Hispanic from Mexico, and you've had some Hispanics that have grown very disenchanted with the Catholic Church and have left. And I would say that, I would venture to say that's 20%.
And now there's a huge foundation, money's being pumped in to reach the Hispanic population, which is another issue. But basically, you know, my thing that I'm trying to do is that we have a new pope. What does that mean? Why, as they put it, we had to go to the end of the world or the other side of the world? Well, the reason is maybe this is, I'm sure there's a formal agenda and an informal agenda. And of course, the formal agenda is we have a conservative pope. Of course, he doesn't support women priests, doesn't support movements for gay marriage, gays adopting kids, people from the gay community. Extremely conservative Pope, supported by many conservative groups here in the Americas, by the way. But at the same time, you have a Pope that wants to populate the Americas. To make, in other words, we're starting to see a pope that is extremely pro-immigration in power now, where you're gonna start to see. I believe the Catholic Church play a prominent role in being sort of like a sanctuary, a chamber for many of the population groups trying to establish themselves here in America, because religion is a game of numbers. If we put our doctrines and faith and everything, our belief structure aside for a moment, we start to see that the game is going to be about numbers, and which one is the fastest growing population of Latinos. So we're starting, you're going to see priests on the pulpit. I'm being funny. Crecer y multiplicar.
Well, you see him, the Pope now, you see him, the washing of the feet, the stepping down from the traditional chair and the throne as you would have it, the differences in the way he's acting. And we got 1 minute before we go on break, but what are your impressions of him as a man and not just the vicar of Christ here on earth?
Well, to be blunt, and of course my larger consciousness would say, well, he was surrounded by the wealthy families of Latin America. And of course I'm going to go in with a microscope lens and see, why is he comparing himself to St. Francis, that was one of the humblest of the humblest, that lived with the beggars when he was born to a wealthy family. And do those things two jive? Well, I'll talk about that when I guess we return.
Well, we're watching, and you're watching rather, South Texas Crossfire, and we have Homero Villarreal, and you can also check him out on El Defensor. That's ELDEFENZOR .blogspot.net, and also you can check him out on Facebook, and friend Homero Villarreal on Facebook and El Defensor. And we're going to be back. We're talking about the Catholic Church and the role of Latin America and the role of Latinos in general in the power structure in the Catholic Church when we come back.
Have you been arrested or are potentially facing criminal charges? You need a trial attorney who is well-versed in the courtroom. Joe Flores has handled hundreds of criminal cases and many of them to trial. Joe Flores can provide you with competent representation to protect your constitutional rights in state and federal court. Joe Flores can help if you have been arrested or facing criminal charges. The law offices of Joe Flores. Equal justice for all.
I think it's a betrayal of public trust. That is just not ethical.
I left the Democratic Party because of her.
The reason is because you're taking Republican money.
The money of those people that pay me as a consultant. What are you taking? What did you take in Crosstown? Took money. I saw it, and I saw them pay you checks.
Okay, hold on. Everybody.
Call River City Hospice for your loved one's care today. River City Hospice is a compassionate, patient-centered healthcare provider with a unique approach to medical care and support for people at the end of life and their families. River City Hospice focuses on maintaining dignity, increasing quality of life, and providing comfort and reducing pain due to illness. Hospice care allows your loved one to be treated with dignity and respect and gives them the right to choose. Call 882-5900 today. Hope, dignity, and love. It's got to be River City Hospice.
Hi, this is attorney and board-certified nurse practitioner Joe Flores on behalf of Vasquez Flores Home Health. Nursing homes have their place, but having care in your own home is very important. Call today for more information. Backed by over 20 years of experience, registered nurse Priscilla Vasquez can answer your questions about home care. Call 881-9922. That's 881-9922 today.
Have you or a loved one suffered a stroke, heart attack, unexplained low blood pressure, or death during dialysis? The FDA has issued warnings and recalled the product Granuflo and Naturalite used in dialysis. At least one national company failed to warn the public that over 900 people had suffered cardiac arrest or death. A condition called metabolic alkalosis developed, which may have caused the harm. Call the law offices of Joe Flores today. With a combined 25 years of experience in the medical field and as a trial lawyer, Joe Flores can help. Call now.